Alan here again. I have another DIY project. If you have the same symptoms or problems I was kind of experiencing with the mini ring of fire for dry baking, basically I came up with this little accessory based on that I'm using Sam's 12 centimeter dry baking combo pot from Bat Stoves, and I find that the simmer mode with the mini ring of fire was a little too hot for it, so that's why I came up with the little stove right here that I'll show you how I build and how it burns, that I find works a lot better dry baking where it doesn't run as hot. So let's get started here, and basically it's going to take two of those travel size Gillette shaving cream bottles. One is going to be used for rolling the top edge, so you have a nice rolled edge up here. Then the other one will be the actual main body of the stove right here. And so basically you're going to want to cut the can to 1 3/4, and then when you roll the top edge right here, you want to do it just enough that it has a nice rolled edge where it's tucked under, and then when that's done, the can will be 1.5 inches tall. And then for the micro nipple here, what I did is I measured from right where the can starts to roll under, from there up is approximately 1/4 inch is where you want to drill the hole. And then with these, I have the nut that screws on them, so inside at the bottom there's a nut that actually pinches that to hold it. And then the carbon felt piece that I used inside, I cut a strip 1 3/8 by 10 inch, and then you want to roll that nice and tight and push it down in there. It's going to be kind of a tight fit, so you're just going to kind of keep working it, and it might stick up a little higher until the carbon felt shrinks a little bit. So you might have like a little bump in the middle, but that's all right because that's from the indent at the bottom. And then once it shrinks a little bit, then you can actually push it down and then you can see that it's just right below the top rolled edge there, nice flat. And then where the flap actually stops when you roll it, mine is about right there, and that's about where you want to stop it on just one side of the micro nipple on side, so there's like a little gap there so the fuel can kind of flow properly. And let's see here, and then the nice thing is it fits right inside the little spot like that. There's some plan there, so it doesn't matter if it's centered or not, but it sits right there. You can see the nipple comes right out the little opening where the fire plug, I mean not the fire plug, the mini ring of fire sits. And then with the fire plug, after testing it, I find that it works best to have the fire plug flat on the ground like that, and it seems to properly feed the stove without flooding it, and it works best there. And then when I did my test on the stove, what I did is I put 1/2 ounce actually in the stove to get it going, and then I put a full amount in the actual bottle to kind of get an idea of the burn rate that it does. And by putting 1/2 ounce in the stove, having a full bottle, I actually was able to get a total of 70 minutes runtime. And then if you break that down, it basically burned 1 1/4 ounces every 35 minutes. And then it roughly did 2 cups of water at 60 degrees, boiled it in 12 to 15 minutes, which is a good ballpark for a low-powered stove that would be good for dry baking. And so basically, after the 1/2 ounce in here, then you can figure out how much you need to put in here based on how much time you roughly think you would need to do your dry baking. Most of the muffins, usually about 20 to 35 minutes roughly, so then you don't have to fill this bottle all the way up. And you can do like half or like an ounce, or maybe a little bit more than an ounce plus the half, and then you probably still have some left over. And I'm gonna stop this video and I'm gonna show you a quick video of it actually in the burn, how it burns and what it looks like, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and one little trick that I found when I make my dyes for my stoves, sometimes the actual can that you're using can't get all the way down to the bottom to expand the very last bit because of the indent. So what I did a couple times is I took the end of the Sharpie, the big fat Sharpie, the cap that has the little hanger that you put in your pocket or wherever, I take that end of it on my die that I make to roll the edge. I just keep working around and around to kind of expand that bottom part that didn't get totally expanded. And it took me a couple times to get it perfect where it was just the right distance between where the indent starts going up and this outer wall. Because if you have it too tight, then it starts making your rolled edge kind of crimped or not smooth or kind of folds funny. So by having that perfect from where it starts going up on the slope of the indent and the distance to this outer wall, you have to kind of make that equal. And then when you get that done, then when the can edges go down, it has a nice tight, short, rolled edge that will go perfectly straight up, and then you'll get that nice, smooth, tight, rolled edge as you can see here. And I find some of the smaller cans had that problem. The bigger Bud Light bottles, not as bad, but still I did the same technique to those and made all my dyes for all my different bottle sizes, so they all turn out with a really nice rolled edge, and the wall inside is pretty dang accurate. That once in a while I had to take a socket and squish it down there to kind of smooth out those little last bit of the wall if you do make a stove that you roll it all the way down to the bottom, but it doesn't take too much. But the die is the most crucial thing to get that perfect, to end up making these nice rolled edges for them. And let's see. And then, like I said in my other video, I showed you how I made my little adjuster sleeve. That I would definitely not recommend using if you decide to go with this stove. I find that it adds too much fuel to the stove and it ends up getting too saturated and kind of makes the flame go down. So I find after multiple tests that with the distance of where this nipple is on the stove down to here, and based on this, it seemed to be the perfect feed. So I'd definitely recommend keeping the fire plug flat. And let's see. I think that's pretty much it. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, this little accessory is not for everybody, but this is what I found that works best with the cookware that I use. If you have smaller, lightweight, that doesn't take as much heat to do dry baking and cooking, then that's where I kind of recommend doing this little add-on stove to get that nice dry baking done. Because if you have it too hot, then you end up burning, or it overcooks it on the outside, but it doesn't do a good job of finishing the inside. But otherwise, I really like this mini Ring of Fire. It works really good. The simmers pretty decent. It could be a little bit softer, but still, for being an all-in-one stove where it's just simple adjustment, and the overall construction that Robbie did, that Smoke Eater 908 is a really cool stove. And if you have thicker pots, then definitely the simmer mode that's built into the stove should be more than enough. Like, he showed a couple of his videos of dry baking with it and seemed to work good. But again, he used a different cook pot, which probably is matched closer to the simmer mode on this for dry baking. But I use the batch stoves cookware, which is lighter and it doesn't take as much heat to do it, so that's why I had to kind of come up with this little DIY project and make my own little more mellow burning stove that seems to be more suited to the cookware I use. So again, hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button, leave any comments or any questions you have. Catch you guys another time.